Good afternoon. You have tuned into Distill It, a 360-degree view of life in sports. My name is Wendy Rosenthal. I am here with my co-partner in crime and life and work and everything else, Rush Switzer. How are you doing today?
I'm good. You guys can't see me yet.
Can't see her yet.
But you can hear me.
She's here with us.
It's really all that matters.
It's a technical glitch.
It is.
But she's looking good. Everybody, she is looking fine.
I'm here. I'm excited. Like you, jet lagged.
Yes. We are here and very excited as we bring to you every other week normally, but we have been on every week the last 3 weeks, which has been very exciting.
Some weeks twice a week.
Exactly.
It's been a busy time.
And we are here because we love talking about sports, and we are also here because we own a company called the Distillery Inc., where we work with athletes to repurpose their athletic intelligence so they can create a fulfilling life beyond sports. And that's what makes us feel like we know what we're talking about a little bit.
Right.
But more than that, it is the passion for sports. And we like to look at everything around sports, not just what's going on the field. So we're very excited to have you all here this week. We have a wonderful show, very exciting because we have a guest that's making a second appearance. He's kind of like, the Steve Martin on Saturday Night Live. Maybe he'll be like, 15 appearances at some point.
I love it. Why not?
We love him. We're going to introduce him and another guest that he has brought with him because we have something very important to talk about. But before we get there, we want to remind everybody that we always love to hear from you in your comments on our Facebook page or by phone. And the number is 323-524-2599 if you'd like to call in and ask ourselves or our guests any questions. And before we get started, as always, we do like to talk a little bit about what's been going on in sports in the last now week. So,
and we have invited our guests to chime in.
We
if they should have anything exciting to contribute. Please.
And always we want to say hi to our engineer Ryan and ask him. He's been a little busy trying to get the technical glitch going, so we won't focus on you right now. But
we'll let you work so our audience can see me at some point during the broadcast.
Exactly.
if it's meant to be, and if not, I'll just chime in. My voice is good enough.
Yes, it is. So, what's on your mind in sports?
You know what I've been a little frustrated by is all the talk around sort of. First of all, I was excited because I loved watching him play. Derek Fisher being assigned head coach for the LA Sparks, but all of the controversy surrounding how this is sort of like a step down for him, and how could he be coaching a women's team? And it's been very interesting,
And when do you think people are going to get over that?
How many times have we been talking about that? It's just women versus men in sports. It's just not. It's not a level playing field as we know.
We know it isn't. But what do you think it'll do for the whole aspect of women's basketball, professional basketball, now that he is a coach?
Well, again, that's why I think I'm so frustrated because rather than looking at it as sort of here was someone who was so successful in his career. Professionally, to be able to come in and bring, obviously, aside from his expertise, but just the attention. The attention now is that, wow, what a letdown. This is what you're doing with yourself. This is where you've ended up in your career. So it was that pivotal moment where it could have been something so huge and exciting and bring some attention. And it's still, I mean, it will be.
He
but
helped
it's just
change the conversation.
Absolutely. And so what's going to be great to see is how, sort of how he guides that conversation now, how he guides the dialogue, and what attention he now decides to shine on the team and women in sports, period. So
we had some very exciting games.
But I would love to. We should ask Coach Bill Smith.
Yeah, we should actually.
Exactly, because he's here, so we'd love to hear your feedback.
You just gave away our guest.
I know, but he's we want to hear his point of view on this.
It's very unique that you said it. I actually know her personally. I worked with him for 5 years in his camps, and he's a very spiritual person. I think people have a lot of time on their hands.
Sure.
And I think Derek would dispel all those things about it's a step down. Coaching is coaching.
Yeah.
Whether you're coaching, and I can say that because I've coached Reggie Miller and some of the guys at the highest level, and I've coached 3-year-olds.
Yeah.
Sports is sports. It's really how the coach is able to communicate and facilitate the learning curve for the team. And success is not always just a scoreboard, but it's about how well you can do. And he's a person who's like myself. I think teaches values.
Right.
And I think he's going to be terrific. And all those things will go away.
And do you think he'll be able to bring sort of just a different level of respect, attention, and focus on not just LA Sparks, but women's basketball and
he's
female
a classy
sports?
Individual.
Yeah.
Like I said, I know his whole family. Unbelievably classy man.
Sure.
So we're fortunate, and I think that's going to come. That's his character is going to win through.
Fabulous.
That's what's going to happen.
Yeah.
And I just have to say, because if you watch us regularly, everybody knows I love sports from rugby to car racing to cricket, but football's like my heart.
Right.
It was a really intense. It was a really intense weekend, right?
It was a very intense weekend. I know because I sat next to you on the plane on Sunday where we did nothing but watch football.
Thank God for
it was
JetBlue.
very anxiety producing.
Very anxiety producing.
Yeah.
Very anxiety producing.
Yeah.
And I'm very sorry that the Rams lost. But hey, they're still 11-3, and they're still got a playoff spot. So
Sure.
I'm very excited about that.
Yeah.
Okay. Ryan, now that you've calmed down, you want to just say anything interesting happened in sports this weekend that you wanted to talk about?
Okay, first of all, you're live, and so people can see
Thank you
your
very
wonderful
much.
face.
Thank you.
You missed the big question mark. There was a big question mark at one point. It was pretty
Oh,
funny.
I saw the question mark.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I
Just
don't,
like the poo that we had on
Right,
the
exactly on the presentation.
so I don't know if I would call this interesting, but my Broncos lost to the Browns.
Yes.
And now the Browns are in playoff hunt, which
Yep.
is kind of interesting. I don't know if I would call that.
Well, it's interesting because look at I hate to say it, and we talk about this because I'm not a fan of a franchise. I don't know how to say it the right way. A turner arounder, like one
Right.
guy changes a whole franchise,
Sure.
and I feel like that's great in the short term, but in the long term, it can't sustain
It's not
itself.
sustainable, sure.
So but it does show you when you have one player that really impacts a team, what it can do,
What a
and I'm
difference
sure
it
that
makes. No
coach
kidding.
can talk about that.
But yeah,
Yeah.
so I'm just salty about that. But
I'm sorry.
You're allowed to be salty.
I'm sorry. I took the Browns, so I'm sorry.
sorry. I mean, it's fine.
All right.
I'll forgive
But now that our audience got to hear his amazing voice, who do we have?
We
with
have
us in studio again.
again the one and only Coach Bill Smith. Welcome. We had Coach Smith on a few weeks back. Now it was almost August, I think, when you came on, and we had the great pleasure of meeting Coach when he was coaching my son in basketball in the summer. And we wanted to bring him on because of the unique way that he not only coaches kids in basketball, the camp that he set up, his storied history in the city of LA in
Sure.
terms of him being a player at the famed Crenshaw High School in the
Yeah.
very first days of it. And we had such a good time that we wanted to make sure we brought him back. But this time, after the show, he talked to us about one of the players that really impacted him
Yeah.
and his career,
Right.
and how much it meant for him to see the growth of this young man over the course of time, being a long time. Even though he's only 25 years old.
Right.
He's known Coach Smith, and I'll let him tell the story for a long time. And so it prompted us to think about having a show where we talk about great coaching from the player's perspective.
Yeah.
Because we've had a lot of wonderful coaches in talking about what it means to be a coach and what it means to shape the lives of their players. But we haven't brought anybody in whose life has actually been shaped by one of these
Right.
amazing coaches. So Bill was very gracious enough to introduce us to our next guest, our following guest, our co-guest, Sebastian Elghanian. Welcome.
Thank you.
We're so happy to have you.
Thank you.
So we want to set the stage for our viewers and our audience. We've kind of given a background on Bill, and I'm sure he'll share more of it as we're talking. But Sebastian, can you give us a little bit of your story, what you're doing? It's amazing. As you sent us your bio, it was very fascinating. So why don't you give us a couple of minutes on who you are?
Sure. Thank you. Thank you for having me, guys. Well, it's funny that you're asking me to do that with the guy who basically started it all for me, sitting right next to me. So, maybe I should give you some more background on my relationship with Coach, and that will actually give you more
Sure.
clarity
Please.
into
Yeah.
what's transpired. So, I actually met Coach when I was 4 years old. At my brother's birthday party on the rooftop of our apartment at the time, and then I went to El Rodeo. He was my PE coach.
For those of you who don't know, El Rodeo is a local secondary school in kind of the Beverly Hills area.
Yes.
We have a lot of listeners from overseas. So
Oh, great. Yeah. So it's a elementary school K through 8. Actually, it goes all the way to 8th grade. And my relationship with Coach went to the next level in 4th grade when I hit an ice cream shot. And for those who don't know Coach, an ice cream shot is when you make a shot
In basketball. Let's
yes,
clarify. It is
it's
in basketball.
When you make a shot in basketball, usually a difficult shot, and whoever is on that court at that time gets ice cream.
Yeah.
And
I want an ice cream shot somewhere in our life. Can we make one of those up? When,
do
like
we
we're
have to
sitting in
do?
a business
What do
meeting.
we have to do to
like we
win
have an
some
agreement.
ice
When you do something really
Exactly.
good, you get ice cream.
Ice cream.
I love it.
Yeah,
Sorry, go ahead.
so I made an ice cream shot. It was a half court shot. Coach said he didn't see it, so he made me do it again, and I did it again.
Yeah.
And then after that, I believe he said, okay, if you make it again, everyone gets ice cream, not just the
Sure.
people on the court. And it was pretty much my whole grade.
Yeah.
The whole fourth grade was on the court.
So no pressure.
80
So no-
ice creams
No. Are you kidding?
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. So I made the third one.
in a row.
You were the popular kid at school.
For that day, I
Yeah,
was.
that day, exactly.
He was on fire.
I love that.
Yeah. And
80 ice creams.
yeah, he had to come through.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he did. And right after that, Coach took me up to his office. Everyone
Yeah.
came up, and he signed me to his club basketball team, the Cougars. And that was when everything changed for me. That was, when I reflect back and I think what was the moment that really set me up, that was it.
Can I interrupt just
Yeah.
a second? Two things. Your friend Robbie Curtis wants to know where he can get one of those jerseys that you're wearing, Coach, so you might have to respond to him separately. But I want to just say that, and thanks for watching, Robbie. We are happy that you're here. Coach, what did you see? I mean, it can't just be, was it just that he was able to make 3 half-court shots in a row that, or did you see something at that point in him that was different?
First of all, he was probably 4'6", and it's unusual for him to make to Seth Sturdy to make a half-court shot. He made 3 in a row, and what he didn't tell you was, as I walked away to go up to the office, I looked back and he made a 4th one in a row, and I said, anybody that can do that, I want him on my club team.
Nice.
And it was just something about him and his personality that really attracted me to him, and that was they say a shining moment. That was it.
Yeah, it wasn't. He likes that fourth one.
Yeah.
I left it out for him.
I like your humility. That's great.
So after I got quote unquote signed to the Cougars,
Love that.
I got out of my comfort zone, right? So as Wendy said, I grew up in Beverly Hills and went to eventually went to Beverly Hills High School, and it was I was playing in communities where I was the minority.
Sure.
Right? They've never seen a Persian Jew before. At the places that we were playing in, the tournaments that we were in. So for me, it was really a time for me to build character, get strong, and I was never, mentally strong. I was never the strongest physically. I was never the tallest. I was not able to jump as high as everyone else.
Sure.
But Coach did something for me and for all my teammates, and he did this for me at a very young age. Is he really let me show my heart, and he let me show my grit, and he let me show that, if you have perseverance and if you have passion and perseverance for long-term goals, it doesn't matter how tall you are. It doesn't matter how big you are. It matters what's up here and what's in here.
Yeah.
So, and that's how I played the game, and then that's how eventually I got into things outside of sports.
Now, you're talking about 4th grade.
Yeah, it was 4th grade I was on the club team from 4th grade to 8th grade, and then I went to Beverly Hills High School. I played 3 years until I got injured, and I wasn't able to play my senior year. But thankfully, Coach was able to come up to high school and coach me there as well.
But I'm just curious because, and maybe it's a question for both of you. Ava and I both have young sons who are a little bit younger than 4th grade, but they're in sports. And you're speaking so eloquently about how Coach was able to, at that time, help you see that you really can lead with your heart and follow that with your mind. Was it that like straightforward when you were 9 years old? Like, how did you take all of that in, or was it just a feeling that coach gave you that helped you see that?
Yeah, I mean, I think number one, I was very young, so I was able to, and I spent so much time with him. I probably spent more time with coach than I spent with my own parents. I'm not kidding.
Yeah.
I mean, I was with him all day during school, and then after school, I wouldn't go home. I would just stay and do my homework in
It's
his
like
office.
a piece of furniture.
Right, exactly.
I never used my locker in school. My locker
This
was
is true.
Well, my locker was next to his desk. It was
So
a
great.
drawer
Yeah.
next to coach's desk.
So great.
I had a special relationship
Right.
with coach. So it was that was a little particular. But so number one was the fact that I was so young, and number two was because I actually bought into the system. So coach just doesn't run a team. It's like it's life. And I realized that everything he was teaching me was not just applicable to basketball, but it was applicable to my math class. It was applicable to.
And you got that back then.
I got that
Sure.
because he made it clear.
Yeah.
That's what this is for.
Yeah.
There was no doubt in my mind that I'm just here to play basketball. No, there was a higher purpose from a very young age,
Yeah.
and that intensity actually pushed some people were turned off,
Right.
and some parents I saw,
Yeah.
and I still see to this day, and that's kind of what Coach and I discuss a lot, more recently, is that some people just they're scared. They
Right.
don't see the long-term benefits of what can teamwork really do.
Yeah.
Right. What can it teach you now and for the future? So I bought into that, and also the last thing is that I was small. I was really small.
And I'm not trying to point this out. You're not that much
No,
taller now.
no,
Sorry.
I'm not. No, I'm not.
Telling you that you're still small.
I was.
You
yes,
are
I was,
are big in stature, but height
but
not so
no,
much.
I'm
still.
not. And but that forced me.
Right.
That forced me
Sure.
to play in a different way. And you see that
Yeah.
in the NBA right now with Isaiah Thomas or with anyone who is coming to the NBA or the NFL or
Yeah.
any league where they're not the norm.
Right.
You
They don't
have
fit
to
that stereotype.
find right. You have to find a way to get a competitive edge.
Right.
And the folks that we were playing against,
Sure.
they were, my parents actually stopped coming to games because
Right.
they couldn't bear to see me getting abused.
Absolutely. I can imagine.
And I sacrificed my body
Right.
every single game.
Yeah.
Every game.
He was a Kurt Rambis at guard. Just a really
Yeah.
hardworking guy.
Yeah.
And what he's not telling you is his team was 70-7
Wow.
in AAU and 21-4 in high school.
Wow.
Like 91-11. It was ridiculous. I thought it was normal too. I thought this is normal. I can do this with everybody.
Sure.
Right.
Not
No,
the
but
case.
Twice.
Yeah.
No, but I was going to ask you that because, again, you've coached a lot of people in your career, Coach. You've been around, not a couple of years, for a while. Like he was 4 when you met him, so it's it's been a few years.
So you've now called our guest short and old. Okay. Continue.
That's all right. I'll get to
Do
me.
a couple parades.
Yeah, I'll get to me. I can.
Right,
I'll,
exactly.
No, but how do you when you're in that situation and you see a kid who's putting out that much effort, what do you do? How do you change your game plan to match somebody who has that level of desire and determination, or is it every player that you really bring on?
Let me point something out. That's what I had. I recognized that he had it. So when I see somebody that's like me, I went, aha. I was at a game in Vegas just last week, and I'm working with some players there. I didn't know this kid. 2 kids were ineligible, and this kid came in. They were down 18 points. The team lost by 4. The kid was unbelievable. I had to find his parents. Are you his parents? I spent 10 minutes. I said, I haven't seen anybody, remind me of you, Seb, nobody play as hard as this kid play.
Right.
And then Dad started talking to him. I said, I don't know what the coach was hiding him from, but because those 2 guys were ineligible, and I complimented him, and he looked at me and he gave me the look he would give me. He just go, thanks. It's that validation of what he was doing
Right.
that really validated his and gave him the confidence. And I said, man, that's the only way to do it. Sometimes it takes years, months to get people to get years to get to where he was. He got there very quickly. And so when your leader is doing that, the rest of the children try to kind of follow in. It's like the Kobe of the game. And he wasn't physically a Kobe, but his effort and heart and unbelievable stamina was just, I was blown away. I was like, and it really, you can't, I don't think you can teach that.
Right.
You can't teach it, but you can, if you can find somebody that has it and you can encourage to get more of it out, but he had it.
Sure.
And so, and like I said, we had an incredible run, and I'm very close to him, and I'll say this on national TV anywhere, he's the greatest student I've ever had.
It's amazing.
Thank you.
At
It's
any
amazing.
level, and
Yeah.
I've coached Hall of Famers, and
Yeah.
that he's a Hall of Famer as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
And what he's doing in business is even another straw in his hat that he gets it.
So let's talk about that, because it's one thing for you to be able to internalize and then practically apply the lessons that coach is giving you, teaching you, while you're attached to the hip and you've got the drawer in his office and you're with him day in and day out all day long. But you've now graduated, you've moved on.
Right.
And so what's happened to all of that amazing
Yeah.
knowledge and wisdom?
So, so immediately after high school, I wanted to be in an environment where I was, challenged, and I wanted to pursue this kind of crazy dream I had of always wanting to start a bank.
Yeah.
So I landed in George Washington University in D.C.
Did you have aspirations of playing basketball when you went to university, or you're like, okay, this is it, I can't duplicate this?
Actually, at that point, I knew I wasn't going to be able to play
Because of your
basketball
injury?
at that level. Because of my injury. So it was good that I didn't, because I'm banged up from head to toe, and it would not be safe for me to play anymore. But it was worth it, Coach. It was all worth it.
The
regrets.
long-term disabilities that I have were all worth it.
No regrets.
No regrets.
I love it.
So I went to George Washington University, graduated, and immediately I got into real estate. My family's always been in real estate,
Yeah.
and I chose to take on really difficult problems and really difficult properties,
Yeah.
and unstick problems. And that's what I always did, and that's what I always, I was, the point guard of my team, every team I've ever played for coach in high school. So that's what I knew how to do. I knew
Sure.
how to lead. I knew how to put a team together and fix a problem.
Yeah.
So one of my first jobs was to manage, remodel, and repurpose a 200-room full-service hotel in Victorville, California.
I love it.
I lived there
Yeah.
again.
What a trooper.
Completely out of my comfort zone, and I had to learn everything from
Yeah.
plumbing to electric to
Sure.
I did the front desk. I did everything,
Mm-hmm.
and this was for my family. And then after that, after I was able to stabilize that property, then I moved on to a property that my family has owned for a very long time in Desert Hot Springs. It was 1,000 acres.
Yeah.
It was just barren land. We didn't know what to do with it. My dad kind of gave up on it, and I said, no, let me take it.
Yeah.
And I took it, and I did everything. I tried digging for gold, literally,
Sure.
water,
Yeah.
amusement parks,
Yeah.
racetrack. I mean, I tried everything. And then finally, I thought of this idea, why don't I just convince the Joshua Tree National Park
Yeah.
to buy it? Because they were right there. And
Sure.
I convinced them. I said, hey, look, I'm going to build a quarry here.
Yeah.
And I'm going to, take granite out of the floor. I'm going to do all these crazy things.
Yeah.
Stop me.
Right.
And they came and they bought
And
it.
they stopped you.
And no one in my family thought this was possible. Everyone was, going nuts when they found out that I
Yeah.
actually did this. And I had no oversight. My dad,
Sure.
just like with Coach, and
Yeah.
Coach will tell you, my dad just let me go.
Right.
And that was trust that he had.
Yeah.
To
to give you that freedom.
Yeah, to give me that
Yeah.
freedom. And both of them, both my coach and my dad, two huge figures in my life. They both always created an environment that was safe for me to fail,
Right.
and for me, that's one of the most important.
And I love that you
things.
say that, because it's so much of what she and I talk about with our clients all the time, is the gift of an athlete to be able to embrace failure.
Yeah.
Right.
And to
Right.
learn from it quickly.
Yes.
Like
Yeah.
it doesn't weigh on an athlete's mind for days and days and years, right? Where kind of the normal non-athlete, they fail and it's like, oh my gosh, I can't ever recover.
He's learned from coaching and being a coach too, 'cause he's been a coach too. It's the next play is coming.
Sure.
So while you're in the past worrying about that failure, you
Yeah.
miss life.
Absolutely.
And Phil Jackson called it saying in the moment, and it's huge and important. And he was really, really good at that.
And that's equally as important with success and failure.
And
Right, you can't
embracing
sit and relish in the failures for
embracing
too long.
embracing failure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, okay, all right.
Yeah.
Now next, here's what I got to do next.
Sure.
Because you learn more from failures and success. It's just the way it is.
Yeah.
Darwin Cook is online saying hello to all of us. We love you, Darwin.
Sweet
We have to
soul.
talk to you
Hello.
soon. Thanks
What's
for
up,
watching.
DC?
Sorry. Please go ahead.
So I've done a couple other things in real estate as well. One of the most proud projects that I got to be a part of was a company actually outside my family. I worked at a real estate development firm called Core International, and my first day of work on the job there, we kind of all came up with this idea to start a LGBT senior housing facility. And it had never really been done before. There's maybe one other one in Northern California, and they put this task on me, and they're like, Sebastian, figure it out.
Right.
Go find us a place
Right.
to get this done, get everything together, and I just immersed myself into the
Sure.
senior housing world. I found the land. We got it, and we're now in the entitlement process and going to be breaking ground next year. So that was a huge thing for me. It was also one of my biggest wins outside of my own family to prove to not only to my family but to myself that I can go out and I can actually produce something
Right.
out of nothing.
Yeah.
And that was a lot of fun. And then most recently for myself, I finally fulfilled and accomplished my childhood dream of starting my own bank, and I created a digital bank called Avo.
Yeah.
And our first product was a Visa prepaid debit card that incentivized healthy living. And
Which, by the way, we love.
Yes, exactly.
Like, we really love that.
Thank you. And that product actually just gave birth to a corporate wellness benefits program that we're going to be rolling out in the new year as well. So that will allow companies to give their employees a wellness allowance that they can spend freely on everything from gyms to fitness classes, massages, mental health, whatever it is that you need your employees to use for their preventative care or well-being.
Sure.
We're now giving you a tool that can easily do that.
And why was that important to you? Why was that a passion project?
So I actually co-founded the digital bank with my childhood friend Jonathan Shushani, and I kind of came to him with this idea of I want a bank, and I want it to be a socially responsible bank. I want to use finance and use money to help people lead healthier, better lives.
Sure.
And he came to me and he's like, well, I got this idea of I want to help people too, but I want to do it through health and food and wellness and maybe like something like a rewards card. And I took his notes for like 2 weeks, and I took my notes and I came back and I'm like, we're gonna make a bank.
Yeah.
We're gonna make this card.
Yeah.
And then that gave birth to what I just spoke about, the corporate wellness benefits program, because when we went and we gave out the card, we started to see that all these employers and employees were using it that way. And we're like, oh wait, that's a great idea. That's we just found a problem within the problem.
Right.
So now we're digging deep into that and really solving that. And it has so many it has so many tentacles because of health insurance, HSA, HRA, FSA accounts, all these different things that to many people are complicated, and sometimes you don't really care, you don't look at it, you think, oh, HR is just going to take care of it. We're really trying to build a tool that's simple, easy to understand. Anyone can do it. Anyone can sign up in 5 minutes, and we can really help people's lives in a meaningful way.
And where can folks find out more about this?
It's right now. We're in a little bit of a incognito mode.
Yeah.
But it's called Avo. Our website right now is getavo.com. But you can definitely follow me at Sebastian Elghanian. And
when you're no longer incognito, you will let us know. And
Yes,
we'll make
I
sure that
will.
we announce it on our show.
Yes, I will. I will definitely.
perfect.
Thank you.
So you're doing amazing things, really.
Thank you.
For such a young man to be so out there and putting yourself out there. Can you, because we talk to our athlete clients a lot and trying to help them see how they can take the skill sets that they acquired as an athlete and transform that and use that to a different purpose in the world beyond sports. Can you give us a couple of the most important things that you learned from not just being coached by Bill, of course, but as an athlete? What were, say, the two most important things that you took from that experience that is helping you in exactly what you're doing today?
It's grit and it's passion. Those are the two. That's all I think you really need. You can do. I mean, he taught me that I can do anything. Right? It didn't matter that there were other people on my team that were more skilled than me. I started and I finished every game. And that's because he trusted me.
Right.
And that's because he knew that if it comes down to the wire, that I'm going to be there to provide and I'm going to do the right thing. So
how does that translate again? Like you're setting up your bank,
right?
You know?
Yeah. I mean, so that's a really funny.
You don't have a coach right there. You don't have a coach going.
Well, yeah.
Get out there. You can do it.
Yeah. Actually, what I would say is that just because I didn't have coach, and actually I did as still as my father figure in my life and one of my mentors, I did. But what I did immediately when we started this company is we surrounded ourselves with the smartest people we can find.
Right.
And I am never alone. There's never a day where I go to work and I say, I don't have an answer to this. There's always someone with an answer, and you just have to ask. And that was one of the biggest things that when I transitioned into business and starting my own business is that you can't be afraid to ask. And people are willing to help.
Sure.
I mean, the first person that we ever got onto into our company was actually the guy who was one of the patent writers for the Visa prepaid card.
Right.
I told my co-founder, John, I said, hey, John, if we're going to do this thing, we're going to need the guy who invented this thing. And I was kind of kidding, but he went and he found it.
Yeah.
And from there, it just created instant credibility and growth, and people trusted us, and people wanted to come and work with us. And we have an amazing support system. So my other advice besides grit and passion is you'll never do anything alone, and don't ever think Steve Jobs didn't do it alone, Bill Gates didn't do it alone. None of these guys of the most successful people in the world, no one does it alone. So to believe that anyone can do that alone is it's a fairy tale.
So two things, because we have these conversations time and again. One, I love that in everything you've discussed, you have not once mentioned, well, I just wanted to make money. It was about making money, because we have this conversation, again, with our clients all the time, and it's so much of the work that Wendy and I do with our clients. It's about understanding that, at the end of the day, of course, we all want to make money and should. But that's not the end all be all. Yeah. You keep tapping into the grit and the passion and being aware, and understanding your potential and being able to find fulfillment in the work that you're doing. Number two, the other conversation we have time and again is what you've highlighted, which is that you are not alone. Mm-hmm. And again, I think one of the many gifts of an athlete is this mentality of understanding that you simply have to play your position. Right? Yeah. You don't have to know everything. No. You don't have to have all the answers.
And you won't.
You have to acknowledge, that you don't know the answers and that you've got to go out and find them. But if you just put the right players in place, what an amazing team you can build. And you keep telling us over and over again how you're doing that professionally, which I think is just so incredible to have you here, as a testament to the work that she and I try and do so much with our clients.
One of the things that I've noticed about him is, and it's something that I try to emphasize over and over, and I said it last time I was on your show, is find a wise man.
Right.
And then find another, and then another. I think that's one of the most under talked about things there is, because you'll talk to certain people and they think they can Google it.
Right.
I know, they know everything.
Yeah.
Experience is experience.
Right, sure.
And if you can do that, and I feel like you're always reinventing yourself. You're always open. If you stop learning, you stop living.
Right.
And I think that's the ticket. And he truly embraces all of those values.
So, Coach, what was maybe one thing that Sebastian taught you that you didn't expect, or that you maybe have carried on and tried to teach others?
One of the things he taught me is I didn't have to. He wasn't a robot.
Yeah.
Okay, don't be a robot. I mean, in the beginning when I first started coaching him and his partners, everything was by my say. I would go do this, do that. What formation are they in? He would come down like a computer and go. He knew he had 6 or 7 seconds to assess every man on the floor, who had the mismatch, what play are we going to run based on. We ran plays based on what the defense did, so we countered everything, and part of that's math. Mm-hmm. So he really, I used to call every play, and I'll never forget one play I called 23 spread because they were trapping, which is the proper formation, and he said, "Nah, I got this." I've only had 2 people wave me off in my whole life. One of them was my mom, okay? And I said, and then he threw a lob to a kid named Hayes Pollard, who plays for the Chargers now. Yeah. And he dunked it. And then he looked at me like, I went like that.
So great.
I didn't see that.
Yeah.
But to me, that was really fulfilling because they were able to do it on their own. I think, like I said, his team, by the way, we were 70-7. We won 48 games in a row. The reason we lost our 48th game, we didn't win 49, his mother had bought tickets for a cruise and said, "I'm sorry, Coach, we got to take you." I was like, "We're going to Santa Barbara. We're defending champs." And then they took him, and we ended up losing in triple overtime.
Oh.
With 2 kids I grabbed off the playground that didn't even know our system.
Right.
I wasn't mad at the kids.
Yeah.
And then the guy that beat us, they were all happy. I said, "Yeah, we haven't lost in 4 years, but my point guard is in Puerto Rico or whatever. If he hadn't been there." But we just started. We went 18-1 that year.
It sounds like he made you a much better coach.
Oh, he did. But he really taught me that I didn't have to put my foot on the pedal once.
Right.
That was put out there for them to be able to buy into. It was really their team, so they did the work, and that was the most fun for me to learn to be able to sit back and just go and it's almost like an artist.
Yeah.
You're painting a picture, and just before you sign the signature, you go, aha.
Yeah.
Let me take a step back and look at this piece of work. And they were amazing. And he taught me that his crew wasn't usual.
Right.
That's the biggest thing. I mean, really? I thought, I'll do this every time I come out to shoot.
Yeah.
I've never duplicated what they did. And I've coached a whole lot of different levels.
You said something, Sebastian, that I really wanted to go back to.
Mm-hmm.
You talked about belief in a system and how there were many people who didn't believe in the system, parents and kids, because the system was, not rigid, but hard, not easy.
Yeah, it was hard.
And I wanted to go back to it because when my son was playing in the camp this summer, I picked up on that with Bill. Like, we came to the end of camp party and I saw Bill, like, telling kids to actually be quiet and sit still. And I think we're pretty old school and believe in that, and others don't. So I guess the question I have is how does believing in a system, whether you necessarily agree with all parts of it, how does it look like? Because I don't know if it sounds like your parents were very supportive of what you were doing, but when you saw other kids that were coming through and not appreciating it, what has that kind of system done for you because you were a part of it? And how does it look like when somebody doesn't believe in it? And how do you see that, challenging them as they go on through their life?
Yeah, well, I think, one of the things that you really had to buy into was practice. If you didn't care about practice, that was it. You didn't play, and there was no future for you. So immediately, the kids that came through the team that either were late to practice or didn't show up or didn't end practice bloody and bruised. We're just
You're
not.
you're making Coach sound a little brutal here, man. Like you bottle your
went
heart.
No,
You were
no, but it was self-inflicted. It was self-inflicted. Because we all had to fight. We all had to fight to play.
Yeah.
Sure.
There was, you knew at any point, you could be on the bench.
Absolutely.
It didn't.
Yeah, you're replaceable.
Yeah, you were 100% replaceable. But thankfully we had as Coach was saying, we had this special team of these core group of 5-6 guys that we always showed up.
Right.
And we were always there for each other. And it's about having that core and sticking to that core. As I grew up and as I stopped playing basketball or went out into more other social circles, I found myself gravitating myself more towards a smaller group of people rather than the whole.
Yeah.
Because it was difficult for me to spend time or connect with people that didn't take things seriously.
Sure.
And didn't have a vision or a passion for something or have some type of long-term goals. Because that team, that core team, we all did.
Yeah.
And we all knew where we were going.
Right.
Can you say something a little bit about where your teammates ended up and what they're doing? I'm just curious.
Yeah. One of them is I think he got one wrong on his MCAT. And Tori, he's incredible. Yeah.
Mr. Carstairs.
Yeah, Mr. Carstairs. He's in
with the Duke, right?
Yeah, he went to Duke, and now he's at Duke Medical and with the military as well. I think he's going to be an Army doctor.
Amazing.
Wow.
Yeah.
Alex Cephas, our 20 rebounder guy just joined the FBI.
Yeah.
Wow. At 25.
Yeah. I
Nice.
talked to these guys. Yeah.
Ephraim Levy, he's at
at
Harvard right now.
And he went to Merman School for Geniuses. That dude's unbelievable.
Yeah.
My son graduated magna cum laude from Fisher College and has a degree in media communication. He's media communication student of the year.
And Joe.
So you did have a special team that you spotted because
Oh,
all
these
of these
guys
guys
are
obviously are all
achievers.
very
They're
high achievers.
High achievers. Yeah, very much so.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. And we thought it was just, this happens with everybody. And we were in this little cocoon, and I looked back, I said, wait a minute, 6 of those kids were together 5 years. To me, they were like, they had a master's, PhD in the game. It really was, because they played for each other. They played to get the shot. I hear people talk about, I'm going to give you a compliment. They talk about the Warriors, how they don't worry about who shoots. They move the ball to get the ball to the open man. That's what we if you didn't shoot, it's kind of like what Coach West taught me. He'll take people out for not shooting.
Yeah.
You got to shoot. And I see coaches a lot. They'll say, you took a bad shot. They sub on mistakes. And no, that's the worst way to coach. How could you do your job on radio with somebody standing over your shoulder, looking for you to make a mistake and then snatching you out?
I was gonna say.
Yeah. That's why I'm here.
That's
why I'm here. Really, it's my only job.
She gives me that eye, and it's like,
and she knows better.
Yeah,
I could take her out any second.
Very unique.
Keeps me on my toes, however.
A unique group of youngsters that were very, very focused.
Sure.
And I'll tell you a little secret. All the success I've ever had, and this is not, I don't think I'm Bob Knight, but I know we're going to have a good team when the two best friends on the team square off. No one ever throws a punch. But we can get that kind of intensity where you two want to go at it, and you're
daily.
not going to give her anything. I know you will do it to anybody else.
Right.
Sure.
But sometimes it's, I'm your buddy. We're friends.
Right.
No, don't go hard against her.
Yeah.
Wrong. He would block out his mom if the ball went. Am I right?
You do what you have to do. I mean, after
block out-
all,
he'd block
she
out his
made you go
mom.
on the cruise.
Yeah.
And she made you miss that game.
So mad.
What's wrong?
I'm so mad.
Mom,
I'm still
what
mad.
are you doing?
And the thing about it was, like, I had a kid 2 summers ago. I was doing a club team, and his mom came up to me, and we coached all year. And I said, okay, I've been coming from Vegas to your place. Now you guys are coming to Vegas for the final tournament.
Sure.
We ended up finishing second in that tournament by 2 points. Our second leading scorer didn't go. The mom comes up at the last practice and goes, Coach, can you tell him it's okay that he's not going on this trip? And the kid was like this. I said, I'm not going to do that.
Yeah.
It's absolutely not okay for him to go. He should go. His teammates are going to miss him. I felt good the fact because that kid had his head down.
Yeah.
He cared.
Yeah,
So
he
I knew
cared.
it wasn't his decision.
Right.
Yeah.
And then the kids who went, we ended up finishing second, but they grew,
Yeah.
and we did what we needed to do. So it's really about giving kids the environment where they feel safe to give all,
To
and
give it all
leave it all
on
out
the
there.
court.
And
I love
that applies to everything. If you leave it all out on the line and you leave it out on the court, you will leave it all in your business and everything else you do.
I love that. I really do. I think that's very profound. And I just wanted to add, because the mic's in front of me. I went to the same high school as you did, and I had two coaches there that it makes me cry even to this
Yeah.
day. Without them, I would not have made it through high school.
Sure.
And a very similar relationship where, I was always in the office doing whatever I could. I wasn't even playing sports
Yeah.
for them,
Yeah.
and they impacted me. So I think it's really worth noting, and why we wanted to have you guys in here is because in life, and we believe that sports is a metaphor for life. Whenever you can find a coach, somebody who gives you that safe place
Yeah.
to fail, to leave it all out on the court, to succeed, because sometimes people are afraid to succeed which is probably more about failing, but in the same way, it's super important. So we encourage all of our viewers and listeners to remember that you're and you can coach people too.
Absolutely.
You don't have to be a coach of a basketball team.
I'd like to encourage the audience to make sure your kids are coached by people who have values, core values.
Yep.
It really comes down to what I was teaching them is what I had been taught and was a part of my
Right.
Sure.
my fiber, and that stuff lasts beyond the shots, the baskets,
Yep.
the trophies, the money. And it's interesting, Aaron, that you said what you said to him. I've had plenty of business people say to me,
Yeah.
"You never focus on money."
Mm-hmm.
I go, "No, they can't put it in a casket with me."
Right.
I've never even had that train of thought. I focus on happiness,
Sure.
and self-adulation and fulfillment really comes from sitting right next to me and seeing that kind of stuff happen over and over again. You can't buy that.
Right.
It's amazing. It really is amazing.
So if you can believe it, we're at the end of the show. Seb, any last words that you want to share about your experience and any advice that you want to give to people just on, life? Because you've been very eloquent.
Thank you. First of all, thank you guys for having me. This is great, and I'm honored. When Coach gave me the call to come here, it was a no-brainer.
So great.
This was
That's
Lucky
our
us.
honor. Yeah, really.
I think for your audience, for anyone who has kids and they're thinking about should I put them in sports and playing on teams, and they're not going to be a famous athlete, or they're not going to be in the NBA or the NFL. That doesn't matter. It's not about that. It's really, there's not enough room for all that,
Yeah.
The NBA only has a certain amount of seats,
Exactly.
the NFL the same. So every sport. So that's not what it is.
Yeah.
It's about the teamwork. It's about the life lessons that you learn. I can dissect everything that Coach has taught me in literally the game of basketball. Everything from how to break a fast break press. That is a microcosm for how you figure out what do you do when life is just coming at you crazy. Everything is crazy.
Yeah.
There's obstacles in front of your way. Do you just put your head down and just you go forward? No.
Yeah.
Right? You treat it the way he taught us how to break a press.
Yeah.
Take a back dribble.
Yeah.
Assess the situation.
Yeah.
Look to pass.
Yeah.
Cross over. Take the new angle.
Sure.
Right? Spread out.
Yeah.
And everyone shouldn't be all in the same place.
Yeah.
Right. Everyone's got their duties.
Absolutely.
So things like that. All of the different things I still carry with me. So that's what's important. It's not the fact that I'm not playing professional basketball or any other sport. It's the fact that now running my own company or doing whatever I'm doing in life, I have these little tools that I can use and I can pull out of my shed and go to work. Yeah. So that I'm extremely grateful for, and it's I see now that a lot of parents aren't putting their kids
Right.
in sports, and a lot of coaches are getting soft.
Yeah.
And we need more.
Right.
We need more. We need more. I
coach
agree.
this in-
Don't
in
need
this
soft.
world.
We don't need soft. We don't need parents doing it as much as far as I'm concerned, because
No.
that's what I've been doing
Don't need
lately.
parent
And I'm like,
volunteers.
yes. Listen, we can't thank you guys enough. As always, we are so grateful for everybody who watches us either now or afterwards, or listens to us on iTunes, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, Castbox, Google Play. Did I miss anybody? iTunes. I did miss iTunes.
Yeah. We're everywhere, basically.
Everywhere. We're everywhere.
We can be found.
We are everywhere, and we are so excited to be here. We want to wish everybody a very, very Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, Happy New Year. We will be back on January 8th
Yep.
with a friend of Coach, actually. We will be making Teddy Bear. We'll be making an announcement very
Yeah.
soon about that. And again, Ryan, happy holidays,
Happy
dude.
holidays.
Enjoy.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you for joining us, everyone.
We'll see you soon.